Our final topic in this chapter is working with the Live Paint tool. So let's start by opening a file. We need the L8 Start 2 file. L8 Start 2, this one. And we're going to save it, do a file, save as, call it Your Name Geodesign. All right, fit all in the window. We have two artboards. This is a business card. And we're going to click to select the white rounded corners of this square that has been turned on its side on the artboard on the left. And we're going to zoom in. This is the part that we're going to be working on. So top of artboard 1. And once you've done that, we can click away to deselect. So Live Paint lets us paint vector graphics intuitively by automatically detecting and correcting gaps that might be otherwise existing that affect the application of fills and strokes. So when you guys don't make a closed shape, you know that Illustrator, if you put a fill on it, Illustrator is going to make an imaginary line closing that shape, and the fill is going to stay inside. So Live Paint is kind of smart, and it knows how to work with this. All right, we're going to take our line segment tool, which is nested in our shape tools. At the very bottom is the line segment tool. We're going to be drawing some lines. And we want to set our defaults to be a white fill and a black stroke. So just like in Photoshop, the letter D on your keyboard gives us our default stroke and fill. So 1 point black stroke and a white fill. You can see it over here as well. And we're going to move our cursor over the top corner of this smaller black square. When we see the anchor point, we're going to drag up and we're going to make a line up. So just drag up to the top of this and there's a line. We are going to do this for all of the corners. So come to the anchor, go to the intersect point, do it down here. Draw our line down. If you hold shift, you won't get crooked lines, by the way. And same thing here. Okay, I'm just going to deselect them all to show you the look that we have going on here. All right, we have drawn in our lines. We're now going to, and you can see this isn't perfect. This is not a shape right here. It's a big white shape with a black square on top of it and a bunch of lines. So if we just wanted to color in this section, in this format, Illustrator is not going to understand. It's going to color the whole white shape. So we need to turn this into a Live Paint group. We're going to go into outline mode, Command Y, and we're going to just drag across our artwork right here to select it all. And then we can go back to our normal view. We didn't want to accidentally select this purple piece, so in outline view, there was no risk of doing that. We need to add another tool to our toolbar, so we need to go down to the 3 dots below here, and we need to find the Live Paint Bucket tool. And where are you? Here we go. Under Paint, we have the Live Paint Bucket tool, and we're going to just bring this up to our toolbar, and I'm going to give it its own slot. I'm just going to drop it underneath the gradient. And to get this to close, we can just hit Escape and make sure that this Live Paint Bucket tool is the tool that's active. We're going to come over to our stroke and fill in our properties panel, and we're going to click on the fill box. And we're going to click on the swatch button, which we already have, and we're going to use one of these purples. We're going to choose purple number 1 as our fill. With our Live Paint Bucket tool selected, we can now see that we have some things going on here with our cursor. It says click to make a live paint group, and you can see that we have 3 chips loaded up. I'm going to come back over here to my fill. I want to make sure that I have purple number 1. Yep, purple number 1 is the light version. So again, purple number 1 is the light version, but the swatch to the left and the right of it are the ones that are to the left and the right of it in the swatch panel. So we're going to move over this center square, this black piece, and when we click, we're not only going to make it a live paint group, but we're also going to dump that color purple into it. So we did 2 things. We made that a live paint group. We now see the red outline, and we dumped that purple color. So we can click on any of these shapes to convert them into a live paint group. The shape is going to be filled with the currently selected color, and these are all going to be fully editable. So we're going to move the pointer over this section, and notice it now has a red outline bounding box, and we have our 3 color swatches. The one that's selected in the middle is purple number 1, and we're going to grab our swatch panel, so window swatches, so that we can watch how this is being handled in our swatch panel. So in your swatch panel, you see the small white icon around purple 1, and that's what we have loaded up right now. On our keyboard, we're going to press the right arrow key once, and notice in our swatch panel, it moved to the right to that darker purple, and in our live paint tool, it loaded that darker purple as the middle one, meaning if we click, that's what's going to be applied. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So we click to apply that one. All right. We're going to move over to this side. We're going to right arrow once to get a new color. We're going to click to put that color in here. We are going to come down to this one, and we're going to right arrow to the number 4, purple number 4, the dark one, and click there. And, oh, I think I got them off a little bit. This one was supposed to be the original color, and this one was supposed to be the dark color. Not that it matters all that much, but if I'm going to match the book, I better match the book. So by right arrow or left arrowing, I'm just going through those 4 color swatches right now. All right, so by default, we can only target the fills with this live paintbrush tool. We can modify it, however, to make it work on our strokes as well. So we're going to come over to our live paintbrush tool right here, and we're going to double click on it. And in this dialog window, we see that paint fills is the default behavior, but we're going to choose also paint the strokes and say OK. All right, go over to our properties panel, and right now there is a black 1-point stroke on our lines. So we're going to change our stroke to be none, meaning we don't want any stroke showing. Now we're going to move our live paintbrush tool again over here, but when we get next to an actual stroke, this line, we now see some options, and the one in the center is the one that's queued up to be active, which is no stroke, which means it would take the stroke away. So if we click, when it turns into a paintbrush, we just remove that stroke. So we're not targeting a fill, we got to get right on the line so it turns into a paintbrush, and that's targeting the stroke, and we remove the stroke. And we remove the stroke, and we remove the stroke. Notice all of these shapes, if there was a gap there, it's filled in. It's like done some automatic coloring for us. We can close our swatch panel, and we can deselect this artwork, and we can do a save. And at this point, we have one more topic to go through. Let's just save this as page 240. We have one more quick exercise, and that is modifying a live paint group. So the cool thing about live paint groups is once you've established them, each path remains editable. And when you move or adjust it, the colors that were previously applied don't just stay there, they automatically go to the new regions. So think about a coloring book. You color inside the lines. If somebody were to move the line, your color would not move with it, but in live paint it will. It will flow into the new area. Let's fit our artboard in the window again. Whoops. There we go. And with our selection tool, we're going to select on this light purple rectangle in the back. And we want to make this a live paint object. So to do that, we do Object, Live Paint, and then Make. Okay, notice that our bounding box looks a little bit different, and we've made that purple shape a live paint object. We are now going to hold down Shift, and we're going to also select this path. You can see it's a thick purple stroke on this path. We've selected it as well. And we're going to do Object, Live Paint, Merge. That's going to add this purple shape to our live paint group as well. Select your live paint bucket tool, and in our properties panel we're going to click on the fill, and we're going to choose white as the color that we've loaded up to be in our live paintbrush. Hit escape so we can see that white is the color that's lit up. And we're going to move down to this section below here. This was one big light purple thing, but when we added this dark purple bar to our live paint group, it's now treating these as separate regions. So we can click once to fill this in with white down here. We're going to switch to our selection tool, and we're going to double click on this live paint object to go into isolation mode. So you can see other things are grayed out, and we just have our 3 pieces right now. We're going to take our direct selection tool, and remember this is just a path, it's not a shape. We're going to click on the left anchor point of this, and we're going to drag it up. And when we let go, look at the power of the live paint. It filled in this new area with white. If this would have been a traditional, not a live paint group, this rectangle would have still been all purple down in here, but because we're in live paint, we're able to reshape it. So we can deselect, we can double click to get out of isolation mode, and that is how we modify live paint groups. So that's it for chapter 8. Working with color is a lot of fun, and these live paint groups are awesome. The thing is, all of the pieces that you want to treat from traditional art into a live group, you have to first apply that. You have to select them and tell them to be a live paint group. So that's kind of the takeaway here. So that's it for chapter 8.